Welcome to this presentation. Today we are talking about how you can stop getting um, into these situations that you're not happy with in regards to your dating life. You know, how you can start creating your desired dating reality by reprogramming your subconscious mind. So let's look at where you are right now. So, right now, you may be experiencing a certain amount of rejection from women, right? And me personally, um, you know, rejection is something that I basically made my friend, or I could even say I fell in love with rejection because I saw that rejection was like this big thing that was holding me back from taking action, from being proactive, from going for what I really wanted in life. However, I'm not the dude that says, oh, rejection doesn't exist or it's not a big deal. Rejection sucks, okay? I'm not gonna front, right? It doesn't feel good. You know, getting rejected by a woman is not the greatest thing in the world, okay? And I like just like beasted my way through it. Like I just smashed through it because you know I just got frustrated with my dating life at one point, you know, which was pretty much non-existent at one point. I got frustrated with it, and so I just smashed my way through rejection. However, that's not everybody's trying to go that route, and I understand that. Not everybody's trying to face a ton of rejection until they get completely immune to it, right? So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about how you can deal with overcome rejection in a like a more a more effortless way, a more strategic, or maybe even a more intelligent way to go about it, right? So you may also feel emasculated as a man. So let's look at what I mean by that. You may feel like your masculinity has been you know, it's you've been shamed for your masculinity. Maybe you being proactive or assertive or expressive in your life has led to some type of backlash or some type of consequence that you know you didn't want to experience anymore, so you stopped being masculine, right? You started becoming nice and passive and soft and all this weird shit, and you kind of feel like you lost a lot of your masculinity, man. You don't feel as grounded, you don't feel um as bold or as certain or as confident as maybe you were at some point. You know, I know as kids, a lot of us as boys, we were a lot more expressive, you know, at certain points, and a lot more gave a lot less fucks and stuff like that. And then over time, we started to maybe we were ridiculed, or maybe we were bullied, or different things have happened in our life, or maybe girls like treated us bad, and so we just started becoming more passive, more soft, more nice, and now we have a hard time embracing our masculinity, right? Maybe you feel like women always putting you in the friend zone, right? Women are not seeing you as a sexual candidate. They're not seeing you as a lover, a romantic partner. They're putting you in that friend zone, and you're tired of it. Being labeled as a nice guy, that might be an issue you found, right? Like, you know, girls calling you, oh yeah, you're so nice, you know, oh, you're such a good guy, you know. Man, any girl would be lucky to be with you, right? I've heard that shit and I hated it, man. And so you maybe you're hearing that shit and you're tired of it as well. When you go out to the club, you always seem to go home alone, but you see other men killing it. This is something I could definitely relate to. When I just started going to the club, you know, guys, I would go out and I would go with my friends who were in the club a little bit longer than me, and sometimes they would get girls and they would pull the girls or whatever, and I would be the dude who would just like kind of just be there, you know, not getting any girls, and that used to burn. That used to really burn inside me. That was another thing that motivated me to like handle this part of my life. That was another thing that motivated me to like get really good at approaching women, because I was just sick of like underachieving. You know what I mean? Straight up. Just I knew there was a potential for me to like get women and be this great version of myself, and I tapped into it. You know what I mean? Do you see a girl at the bar and think twice before you walk up to her? So it could be a bar, it could be the club, could be the grocery store, could be the mall, could be the beach, could be the park. You see a girl, and you hesitate. You don't approach her. You don't walk up to her as the confident, grounded, masculine man that you would like to. Okay. So if you relate to any of these things, then you are in the right place because I'm going to show you how to address these things, how to solve those issues. All right. So let's look at where do you want to be, right? You want to be the guy who can go out any night and you're pretty much guaranteed to make a sexual connection with a beautiful woman, right? That's the guy you want to be. You want to be the guy who can get women at will, right? Get women on demand, right? Because you understand how to express yourself in an attractive manner, right? And you've cultivated and what's the word I'm looking for? Reignited your masculinity, right? Because if you maybe at some point you feel a little emasculated, you can reignite that masculinity and you can cultivate it and make it even greater and ground it and learn how to calibrate it in a certain way, right? And you want to have the confidence to go up and approach any woman, but not only that, you want to feel confident in all areas of your life financially, right? You want to go for your hit your financial goals, your career, reach the career status that you like to reach, your business, right? Reach your business goals, your family, get the respect and the love that you want from your family and your relationships and just your social life, right? You want to be confident in all areas of your life. You want to be the guy who has the house, has the car, the beautiful girl, pretty much have the power to create your desired reality. This is not just about women, okay? There's a certain type of man that needs to show up, and I'm talking about you who can create his desired reality in all areas, right? And do you want to stop dreaming about living and start living your dreams, right? I think this is a cool way to mix words together. Stop dreaming about living and start living your dreams. Right? So many of us, our dreams are better than our life. I say our life should be better than our dreams. Our dreams should become our life, right? The things that are happening in our dreams, oh yeah, me with this beautiful girl, oh yeah, me driving this car, me living this way, me having this lifestyle. You can make that your reality. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to literally program your subconscious mind to move you in the direction of your desired reality. Not only move you in that direction, but draw it to you. Draw the experience to you. All right. So, how do you get there? How do you get to that reality? Okay. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to transcend any limiting beliefs. Here's a trick you can do with your mind. A lot of times we think about how can I be successful in my dating life, or I want to be successful in my dating life. But have you ever thought about how can I be unsuccessful in my dating life? Right? Let me think about that. Okay, if I want to be unsuccessful in my dating life, well, here's what I know I need to do. Don't talk to any women. Don't have any confidence. Don't go for what you want in life. Make excuses. Um, blame others. Right? You just start naming all the things that will make you unsuccessful in your dating life, and then you do the opposite of those things. Right? So making excuses is a way for you to be unsuccessful in your dating life. So that means if you want to be successful in your dating life, you can't make excuses. Right? Believing certain things that keep you stuck in a certain reality, like um an example I gave to somebody I was speaking with recently is, I'm a black man, right? Because we're limiting belief. Let's look at this. I'm a black man. What if I had the belief that white men are better than black men? What would happen if I had that belief? I would start to act, start to think, start to feel a certain way that would create a reality where that becomes true. Right? I'll be talking to a woman and she doesn't give me the reaction I want. And all of a sudden, what happens? My belief shows up. Oh, she loves white men better than black men. Right? That's a limiting belief. Now, I can choose to believe that, but if I believe that, my reality will be limited. However, if I don't have that belief, Now my reality has expanded. Right now, I can talk to a woman and I can believe she's not worried about whether I'm black or white. She just knows that I'm a confident man that can communicate and express himself, that's grounded in his masculinity, authentic, knows how to create a fun experience, knows how to transfer and stimulate her emotionally. She's not worried about this color of my skin. Right. So that would, if I'm thinking about skin color, I'm thinking about the size of my lips or the whatever, these limiting beliefs. I'm gonna limit my reality, but I'm not gonna do that. That's the thing. I'm not going to have a limiting belief because I know a limiting belief is any belief that restricts you in some way. So look at your beliefs right now. Look at your beliefs right now. Is the way that I'm believing, is the way that I'm thinking, is that restricting my reality? And you can like flip it on your mind. Instead of asking yourself, what do I need to do to be successful? Think about what would you have to do to be unsuccessful? Write those things down and then do the opposite, right? Don't approach any women. Okay. Well, if you want to be successful, that means you need to approach some women. Period. Don't try to, oh, I don't want to approach. Bro, do you want to be successful or you want to be unsuccessful? Which one? Right? Um, accept your future dream as your current reality. So, what this means is we want to start thinking and feeling the way we would think and feel if our future dream was our current reality. So, for example, let's say right now, one of my dreams, one of my goals is to have a Rolls Royce, right? There's a certain way that I would be thinking when I have that Rolls Royce, and there's a certain way I'd be feeling when I have that Rolls Royce. And guess what I need to do? I need to start thinking and feeling that way now because I'm going to go into this later in this presentation. But basically, the way you think and the way you feel is what's creating your reality because that's your personality. And your personality is what creates your personal reality, right? Another way to look at it is the character you are playing determines how the movie is going to play out, right? Like we know a certain character, we know James Bond. When he's in a movie, the movie is going to be a certain type of way because James Bond is in that movie. If you take James Bond out of that role, like let's say the leading role was James Bond, and you take James Bond out, you put SpongeBob in there, or you put Mickey Mouse, it's going to be a different type of movie, right? Because it's a whole different character. And these are strong characters, so they're going to shape that movie, right? Like James Bond's going to shape that movie. He's not going to break his frame for the outer reality. James Bond's going to be James Bond. SpongeBob is going to be SpongeBob. Mickey Mouse is going to be Mickey Mouse. And that's what we want to be. We want to be, if I want the Rolls Royce, I got to be the Trey that thinks and feels in alignment with the Rolls Royce. If we're talking about a certain type of woman, if you want one, you see one of those badass girls on Instagram or whatever, you can get that girl. But you have to ask yourself, how would I need to think and how would I need to feel to attract a girl of that caliber? Right? And maybe you're not even sure what that is. But just let that marinate for a little bit. Let that marinate. Think about that for a little bit. Right? Because sometimes you don't need to know exactly how to do it. You just got to start where you are. Right? So maybe I don't know exactly how I would think and feel if I had the Rolls Royce, but let me start where I am. Right? And sometimes you could put yourself in position. Like I actually went to the Rolls Royce dealership and got around the Rolls Royce and got into that vibe, got into that frequency, got into that energy. So I know I have an idea of how it feels. I have an idea of how I would be thinking. And you got to do this over and over because what happens if you keep doing this over and over, you start programming your mind to look like you already have that experience. You already have that reality. You start programming your body's chemistry to look like you already have that experience. And what happens is you start attracting the resources, you start attracting the people, you start attracting the opportunities, the events, the experiences necessary to get you to that reality. The goal is to get the neurons in your brain, the sensory neurites in your heart, and the chemistry of your body to synchronize and send out the signal to attract your desired experiences in your reality. So there's a certain beingness you need to tap into essentially, right? There's a certain way of thinking, there's a certain way of feeling, there's a certain way of behaving that needs to be congruent. And when that's congruent, you're actually going to send out a signal to the universe to attract the desired experiences in your reality. Your thoughts are an electric signal out into the universe. This is what I want. When you start thinking something, you're actually telling the universe to create a reality of what you're thinking. So if I think, like, let's say I start thinking that life sucks. If I start thinking that life sucks, the universe is going to send a reality to me to reaffirm that thought. If I start thinking that life is amazing, the universe will send experiences to me to reaffirm that thought. Right. And now, if I um, combine that thought of the life is amazing with the feeling of a love for life, a joy for life, an excitement for life, now I'm really drawing it to me. Now I'm sending out the signal and I'm putting out the magnets. The feeling is like the magnet, right? And it draws the experience to you, right? So the more powerful the thought and the more powerful the feeling, the more powerful your ability to attract these experiences to you will be. Okay. So creating your ideal dating reality, a clear intention plus an elevated emotion equals a new state of being. This changes your biology from living in the past to living in the future. So if we're talking about the subconscious mind is programmed in a certain way based on what has happened in your past. Now, your past being thinking and feeling and acting a certain way in your past is what led to your current reality. And if you keep thinking and feeling the same way that you did in the past, you're going to keep creating what you're getting right now. If we want to change our dating reality, so let's just put an example out there. Let's say you're not getting any dates right now, but you want to create a dating reality where you're getting 3 dates per week. Set that intention. Set that clear intention. I want 3 dates a week. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be this complex, actually. I mean, as you go through your life, things will you'll start to realize like what the more details of things, and you'll get more specific because you'll start having different experiences. You'll start to see what you want and what you don't want, and then things will get more specific. But maybe right now you just want to keep it simple. I want to get 3 dates per week. That's a very clear intention. Now you need to tap into the elevated emotion of that. Okay, how would you feel if you had 3 dates per week? Like imagine, like you close your eyes, imagine you have 3 dates per week, every single week. You'd feel good, man. You'd be happy, right? You'd be like, oh shit, this is cool. You'd feel abundance, right? You'd feel joyful. You'd feel there'd be a sense of peace because now you're not in scarcity. Now you got like some shit going, right? So you tap into that right now. And what you're doing is you're tapping into a new state of being. You're changing your biology from living in the past to living in the future. Now, what happens is when you have a clear intention and elevated emotion, you start influencing matter, right? You start changing things in your reality because you're thinking a certain way, you're feeling a certain way. So you're going to act a certain way, and it's going to lead to certain experiences. And ultimately is going to lead to whatever that clear intention was and clear intention is ultimately is going to lead to that, right? But little by little you're reshaping your reality. That's why when you start thinking differently and start feeling differently, what happens? Your old reality starts to shatter. Like things start to fall apart. Like things start to get destroyed. Like relationships used to have not making any sense anymore. The things you used to do not making any sense to more. Like if you start changing your state of being, like maybe you used to be an alcoholic, you start changing your way you're thinking, the way you're feeling. You're not probably not gonna want to drink alcohol no more, right? Or maybe you're smoking, you're probably not gonna want to smoke no more. Or maybe like for example, things I used to love I don't even do anymore. Like I used to play basketball. I used to love basketball. I started changing my state of being. I'm not as big into basketball as I used to be. It just is what it is, right? Because I changed my intention. At one point, my intention was to play in the NBA. So if my intention is to play in the NBA, I'm gonna be all about basketball. That intention changed, right? I started getting into entrepreneurship, business. I started to my focus changed, right? And my emotion, the way I felt started to change. So I started taking different actions, and the reality around me started to change, right? Instead of me like spending most of my time playing basketball, now most of my time was on my laptop, doing my marketing or doing my branding or creating content or whatever it is, right? Let's talk about the quantum field. So, the quantum field is an invisible field of energy and information that exists beyond space and time. It can't be perceived with your senses. This is quantum field is actually a difficult concept to describe because it you can't sense it. It's always hard to describe something that you can't sense with your your senses. Like you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't see it, you can't feel it, right? You can't hear it. So some people may say it doesn't exist, but now we have science to prove that it exists, right? We have like different tools and things that are being used now to basically show that there is something going on that we're not seeing in our universe and it's affecting our universe, right? And the quantum field is part of that. Now, the quantum field, all potentials exist in the quantum field. The quantum field is basically like this it's an invisible field of energy and information, and it's actually like creating the order in this universe. That's kind of where scientists are like how scientists are looking at the quantum fields. Like the quantum field is actually bringing order to what's going on in our world. Because even though there's a lot of shit going on in our world, but there is some kind of order to it. And the way how it's hard for us to describe why is there order, but this is one of the things that we're looking at now is like, okay, this quantum field is what's bringing order to the energy and the information that's going on. So anyway, in the quantum field, um, all potentials exist because in order to tap into the quantum field, you have to live in the present moment. And in the present moment, all potentials exist. And the only way to enter the quantum field and create a life where you're successful with women is to get beyond yourself, right? So in the quantum field, there is a potential where you are getting 3 dates per week, right? But in order for that to happen, you would have to get beyond yourself. That means you have to let go of who you think you are because who you think you are is creating the reality you have right now. And if the reality you have right now does not consist of getting 3 dates per week, who you think you are needs to change. And when I say it needs to change, I mean you need to tap into a different version of yourself. You need to start thinking differently. You need to start acting differently. You need to start feeling differently. This is the old Trey that was nice and passive. There was a version of me that was like a nice guy that was passive, couldn't talk to a girl, very shy, all this stuff. That version of me had to die. And what version of me had to show up? The sexy beast, right? There was a time where I just kept talking about being a sexy beast and this and that and this and that. That wasn't an accident. I wasn't just randomly saying that. I knew exactly what I was doing. I was tapping into a version of myself that gets 3 dates per week. The Trey that believes he's a sexy beast gets 3 dates a week because why? Because that Trey thinks a certain way and that Trey feels a certain way. So that Trey creates a certain reality, and in that reality, 3 dates per week exists. But I had to let go of who I thought I was. It was no longer the shy Trey, no longer the passive Trey, no longer the the victim Trey, the friend zone Trey, whatever, right? You can't enter the quantum field as a somebody. You have to become nobody, pure consciousness, right? So the way how the quantum field works is you can't sense it, right? So you would have to let go of your identity in this three-dimensional reality of the senses, and you'd have to become pure consciousness or pure energy, pure wave, right? No longer particle, no longer matter. So you let go of your identity completely. You let go of the familiar past, you let go of the predictable future, and you just become pure consciousness. Once you enter the quantum field and you change your energy to match the frequency of your desired potential, you would draw that experience to you. There's a difference between attracting something and chasing it down, right? In the world, in this 3D reality that we live in right now, in order to create a new reality, you have to go and like chase it down, basically. You have to go and fight for it. That was part of the reason I came up with the idea of the sexy beast, because it was like, okay, I want to be sexy, but I also want to create this reality where like I'm living a life where I have a healthy sex life. So to me, a beast, thinking of myself as a beast, basically affirmed in my head that okay, I'm somebody that takes a lot of action, right? So I was working with the laws of the 3D Newtonian physics, right? You take a lot of action, and I'm like fighting to make some shit happen. In a quantum field, you don't have to do that. In a quantum field, all you have to do is change your energy to match the frequency of your desired potential, and you will draw that experience to you. So the sexy beast, let's make a difference. The sexy beast would go out and say, "Okay, I'm gonna carry sexual energy, and I'm gonna go out and be a beast. That means I'm gonna go out and take a lot of action, approach a lot of women, right? That's the sexy beast. Pure consciousness says there's already a potential in the quantum field where I am getting 3 dates per week, for example. So instead of me going out and beasting out, which that's cool too, but maybe I don't want to do that, I can just become pure consciousness and tap into the energy to match the frequency of that potential of having 3 days per week. So there's a certain way of thinking that somebody who gets 3 days a week thinks, right? And when you think that way, your energy will change. Not only that, there's a certain way that person would feel, right? He'd feel abundance. He would feel successful. He'd feel confident. He'd feel grounded. He'd feel blessed, feel grateful. So I tap into that feeling. I tap into those thoughts. And, I take some action. I may not have to go out and do 100 approaches a day, but maybe I do 5 approaches a day, whatever, or talk to women when I see them or whatever. That experience is going to come to me, though. If I get very clear, like we talked about, the clear intention, you clear intention. So know what it is that you're creating because you're sending the signal to the universe. Universe will bring the experience to you, right? It will give you the ideas. It will give you the wisdom. It will give you the resources. Like this, I've tried both methods. Both work. Like being the beast that goes and takes a lot of action, that works too. But this is a lot more effortless because now what you're doing is you're leveraging the power of your mind, you're leveraging the power of your energy, you're leveraging the power of the quantum field, and you're tapping into a reality in a lot more of a effortless way, right? You're just being a little more scientific or a little more strategic about things. So, living in the present moment, this is a big part to creating your desired dating reality. Most of us are biologically stuck in the past, and that's why we have a hard time changing the future, right? A lot of us are stuck in the past because of what? Past trauma. We've had things that's happened to us in the past that has created very highly stimulating emotional experiences that may have been perceived in a negative way. And so we don't want to experience those things ever again, right? Because it was so traumatic. So what do? Stay in our comfort zone. Why? Because if I get outside the comfort zone, what if I experience a traumatic event like the one I had in the past? You see, our attachment to the past keeps us in the past, right? Because we're afraid to step into the unknown. Because what if I step into the unknown and I experience the past again? And so, what we're doing, because we're afraid to experience the past, we're also preventing a potential future from showing up, right? Because we're not willing to do what is necessary for that future to show up because we're trying to live in the past. You cannot hold on to the past and create a new future, right? You have to let go. You have to detach. You have to, you know, reframe, rewire, relook at these things that's happened in the past. Like for me, you know, past trauma, like I've had traumatic events in the past for sure, breakups or girls doing me wrong or bullying or whatever the case may be. I reframed a lot of those things. I've been able to see them in a different light and detach from them. Now it's like there's not this emotional huge emotional current or this emotional charge associated with these past events. It's more like I look at them more like from a place of wisdom now. Like if you're no longer attached to something emotionally like that, it becomes wisdom, right? It's just like an experience that happened. You're like, okay, well, I didn't enjoy that experience. I'm gonna do things in a way where I don't go into that experience again, right? But I'm not going to completely close myself off from all other experiences by staying in my comfort zone, right? Because I'm not that attached to that past event so much so that I'm gonna live based on that. Like that's how people are living. They're living based on that. Oh, that girl broke my heart, so now I'm not going to do certain things because I don't want to get my heart broke again. Because of your fear of getting your heart broke again, you're gonna stay in your comfort zone, which means you're not going to get whatever the other result is. So like if you're afraid to get your heart broken, you're also saying you're afraid to meet other girls because if you're going to meet other girls, there's a potential that you may get your heart broken. So you have to just let go of that past, right? And for me, I reframe it. Like I look at it like, oh, yeah, I got my heart broke, but I learned so much from it. I learned that that wasn't the right girl for me. I learned so now you start to associate different emotions with that experience, and what was once a traumatic event now just becomes an event. You know what I mean? Some wisdom, something to learn from. If you want to get beyond your past, you must master the present moment. This is my practice right now. Is mastering the present moment because all possibilities exist in the present moment. You want to become a master at creating your desired reality. You want to become a master at shifting your reality into the position you want it to be. You want to be a master at living your best life. Master the present moment. But the only way to do that is to get beyond your past, right? That means you can't take the old you into the new reality. A new you has to show up to create the new reality because your personality creates your personal reality. So if I want a new personal reality, I have to create a new personality. That means I have to think differently, feel differently, and act differently. You can't create a new life while holding on to who you think you are and your old belief system. So another part to this is not just about breaking free from who you think you are, but you have to break free from your old beliefs. This is challenging too, because if you've believed certain things for a long time, it's very hard to let go. That's why people in religions, you see how strong their beliefs are. You're gonna have a hard time convincing someone to leave their religion who truly believes it. Like even me, I left my religion. I used to be a Christian, and it was very difficult to drop that religion and to drop the belief system because it was so hardwired in me, right? It was so internalized. But I understood that the results I wanted in my life, in my dating life, I wasn't going to be able to create those results while holding on to my old identity, my old belief system. Like I can't expect to be big pimping while holding on to the beliefs of the Christian religion. That's very difficult, right? You're not even supposed to have sex before marriage. So how am I going to be big pimping? And this is just me like being, trying to be a little funny or whatever, because I'm not really trying to pimp anything, but you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna be, you know, Hugh Hefner, Playboy, Mr. Playboy Mansion. It would have been very difficult for him to create that reality if he had the belief system of someone who's in a Christian religion. And I'm just using this as an example because this is just like my personal experience, right? I had to let go of certain beliefs in order to create a new reality, right? There was a version of me that was just not getting any girls, period. There's also a version of me that can go out and get a new girl any day of the week, right? At will, on demand, sometimes in less than 5 minutes. Go out in 5 minutes and get a new girl, and I'm good, you know. But there was a trait at one point that couldn't even say hello to a girl. So how did I make a change? I decided to let go of who I thought I was, and I decided to let go of my old belief system. The past doesn't exist except in your brain and your body, in your thoughts and your emotions. So if you're not in the present moment, that means you are probably in a subconscious program based on something that doesn't actually exist. Now, I hope you got that, because basically what I'm saying here is if you're not living in the present moment, you're actually living as a robot. Like there's a program running, like how a program runs on a computer, or a program runs in a on an ATM or whatever, a machine. That's happening with us in our subconscious mind. And if we don't check to see what program is running, that program could be running us back into the past, right? Just creating rerunning the past over and over. Literally, your life is like just rerunning the same cycle, same patterns, same level of experiences every day, every week, every month, every year. This is why you think people be getting depressed, or like, people saying, "Oh, FML, fuck my life," and shit like that, because they just keep having the same bullshit happen over and over, because they have the same old subconscious program running, right? They have the same thoughts and emotions showing up every single day. And so we need to become aware of this. Like, oh, hold on, there's a subconscious program that's running, and I may not even be aware of it, and it's based on my past, and it may be running a program that's no longer serving me. Maybe that program was serving you, right? Like some of our subconscious programs was designed to help us. Like let's say you were getting bullied at one point, your subconscious mind probably designed a program to keep you from getting maybe bullied again, or bullied to a higher level or whatever, right? But then now let's say you're past that, you're past that, you may still have that same program still running because you never changed the program. You never got present to the moment enough to notice that that program was even running, right? That's another benefit of being present to the moment, is you start to notice these programs that are running in your subconscious mind. So here's something to look at. If you're moving in the direction of the known, which means you can predict the feeling of an experience, then you're going to create more of the known. So for example, if I let's say my daily routine, like let's look at the old Trey's daily routine, like when I was in high school, right? I'd wake up in the morning. What would I do? I'd get dressed. Go on my bus. I go in the cafeteria, go and get some breakfast, go in my class. Sometimes I would stay awake, sometimes I fall asleep in class, go to the next class, kind of the same thing, maybe talk to one person, go to the next class, maybe talk to two people, and go home. And then go home and let's say I go home and I play video games, do some homework, eat some dinner, say hello to my mom, and then go to bed. Let's say I just keep doing that over and over and over. And let's say in that reality, I'm not getting any girls, right? If I keep doing that, is anything going to change? No, right? Like if right now, if my daily basis, I was doing the same thing I was doing in high school. Let's say I woke up in the morning, I got dressed, but instead of going to school, let's say I was going to work, right? So I get dressed, I go to work, I do my work. Let's say I work in a cubicle, so I'm in my cubicle all day, go home, watch some TV, eat some popcorn, whatever, go to sleep. Let's say I just keep doing that. Am I going to get 3 dates per week? Very unlikely. Very unlikely, right? I would have to start thinking some different thoughts like, okay, how do I get 3 days per week? Like it would start there, right? Like, okay, I want 3 days per week. How do I get 3 days per week? It would start there. Then if I knew about this stuff that I know now, okay, I would tap into the feeling. Okay, how would I feel if I had 3 days per week? Oh, okay, I would feel confident. I'd feel happy. I'd feel joyful. I'd feel loved. Whatever, right? And then because I'm thinking differently and I'm feeling differently, I'm gonna be motivated to act differently, right? I may start saying hi to some girls a little bit more, or maybe I'll just look at them more, like give them more eye contact. Maybe my body language might change. I might be a little more confident because I realize, okay, if I want 3 days per week, I got to show up as a man. I can't show up as a little peanut. Um, so right. And what am I doing? I'm starting to tap into the unknown a little bit. I'm not doing the same thing over and over. I'm not thinking the same way. I'm not feeling the same, right? So, living in the present moment is a big part of creating your desired reality. Now, we're hesitant to live in the present moment because living in the present moment also means living in the unknown, and you can't predict the feeling of an unknown experience. Cold approach. Let's look at cold approach real quick because when I started going out and approaching women, that was pretty scary in the beginning. Why was it scary? Because I was deciding to start living in the present moment. I was deciding to start going into the unknown. And when you go into the unknown, you can't predict the feeling of an unknown experience. So when I went to approach a woman, the reason why it's so terrifying is because you can't predict what's going to happen. You have no clue. You got about to walk up on feminine energy. Feminine energy, just in case you didn't know, is chaotic energy. You're about to walk into chaos. Okay? So not only are you walking into the unknown because you're walking up to a stranger, but you're walking up to chaotic energy coming from a stranger. Yeah, you should be a little nervous. You should be a little scared. However, you should also be a little excited because what you're doing is you're tapping into the present moment, which means you're also tapping into unlimited potential. But you really have to embrace the present moment. You can't be holding on to um your old identity and trying to close up and trying to resist the moment. You see, that's another thing. You could like, you like trying to halfway go into the present moment. No, you have to go into the present moment fully. That means you have to open up and just fully embrace the experience. But yeah, we're hesitant to live in the present moment because living in the present moment is means living in the unknown. And when we can't predict the feeling of something, we tend to avoid it, right? Because it's uncomfortable, right? We don't want to be uncomfortable. You know what, I should make sure I explain this properly. It's not that we don't want to be uncomfortable. Our body does not want to be uncomfortable. The body only cares about survival. The body only cares about survival. So when you're surviving, the body doesn't see any reason why you should step into the unknown. However, the consciousness, we want to step into the unknown. The consciousness wants change. The consciousness wants to experience all types of different experiences of life, right? But what happens is we start to get so stuck into our old identity of thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling, and we start to think that we're the subconscious mind. We start to think that we're the body. We start to forget that we're actually these unlimited conscious beings that have unlimited potential. We start to forget. We start to think that we are limited, um, you know, just static creatures that have a certain way of thinking, a certain identity, and that's just it. We don't realize that we can shapeshift. I can be a sexy beast and then all of a sudden say, you know what? I'm an unbreakable beast, right? My group started off, my Facebook group, it started as a sexy beast. Then what happened? I shifted in energy and I said, you know what? I'm an unbreakable beast. It's a little bit different. It's more focused on grounded masculinity, right? And then I took the masculinity thing to another level. I started to realize how powerful masculinity is. And so I said, you know what? This is the masculine throne. I'm a king, right? So not only did I tap into masculinity, but I started to make it more of like a royal thing, like a kingly type of masculinity, right? Now, if I had the idea that I am one identity, then I would have just stayed the sexy beast and I would have just been stuck there, right? Matter of fact, I wouldn't have even made it to sexy beast because I would have still been the nice guy, emasculated trait. You see what I'm saying? But I realized no, we can evolve, we can expand, we can grow, we are not the mind, we are not the body. We are the consciousness, right? Observing what the body's doing, observing what the mind's doing. Our bodies, one thing we need to understand is our bodies are always sending and receiving electromagnetic energy. Intentions and emotions combined create information that's being sent out into the universe. So, our bodies, just so you know, our bodies have an electromagnetic field around it. And this is based on our thoughts and our emotions. If we had no thoughts and or no emotions, we would kind of it's like we would just be like there would be no energy, right? Because energy is information, energy is intention, energy is emotions, right? So if there's no intention and there's no emotion, right, then there's nothing really being signaled, right? So we need to understand that there is a signal, there is something that's going out into the universe, right? And that is our intention and that is our emotions. And even if we're not aware of them, right? So sometimes you may think you may not have a certain intention or you may not be feeling a certain emotion because you may be in denial or you may be resisting it or whatever the case may be. But there's definitely something going, there's something, some information that's being sent out into the universe and there's certain information that's being received, right? Whether we're aware of this or not. And that's going on right at this moment, right? So elevated emotions like love, joy, peace carry a higher frequency of energy than emotions of survival such as fear, anger, or sadness. So what does this mean? When you're carrying an emotion of love, joy, and peace, it can these emotions can affect matter um in a more impactful way, right? Like if somebody shows up, I'll give you an example. If somebody shows up to the club, because I experimented with this. If I go in the club and I have the emotions of love, joy, and peace, I'm going to be able to influence the people in that club a lot more because I'm carrying a higher frequency of energy, and people want to ascend to these elevated emotions. So if somebody's carrying the emotions of love, joy, and peace, people are going to be attracted to that because they want that, right? And it's actually quite contagious. Like if I have a certain frequency of energy, I can entrain somebody who's at a lower frequency of energy and help them raise up. Now, if you go into so if I go in a club with that energy of love, joy, and peace, I'm probably gonna have a better time at influencing people and just like and just interacting with people and socializing that kind of thing than if I went with the emotions of fear, anger, or sadness. Because fear, anger, or sadness are low frequency um, emotions, and people when people sense that you're at a lower frequency, they tend to want to avoid you, right? Right. So I would actually, if I went in a club feeling fear, or I went in a club being angry, or I went in a club sad, I would repel a lot of people. Right. Most people I would repel. And those who I attract would either be on that low vibration and we would just be repelling people together. Or sometimes what I have noticed, like I've went in a club one time. I remember I think I was going through a breakup or something. So I was kind of sad. And I remember what was happening was there would be people that would come up to me and try to help raise my frequency, right? They would sense my sadness and they would try to show some love or show some joy. But as you can see, like yeah, elevated emotions, you're more able to influence people, influence matter in general. We are sending and receiving information through our thoughts and emotions, energy and emotion. All right. So basically anytime you're feeling an emotion, just know that you are attracting certain experiences to you, And anytime you're thinking a certain thought, just know that you're sending a signal out into the universe of what type of experiences you want. So if you're thinking thoughts of like angry thoughts, you're asking the universe to give you more reasons to be angry. If you're thinking loving thoughts, you're asking the universe to give you more reasons to feel love. Okay. Ooh, there we go. To change your life is to change your energy. So if we want to change our lives, we got to change our energy. The electromagnetic field surrounding our bodies, aka the way we think and feel. If you change the way you think and feel, you're going to change your energy. When you change your energy, you change the electromagnetic field around your body. When you change the electromagnetic field around your body, you change what you are signaling out into the universe as this is what I want. And you change what you feel. So your emotions are basically like the magnets telling the universe, bring this experience to me, right? Of an experience that's going to give me that feeling. So if I'm feeling love, I'm telling the universe, bring me experiences that are on the frequency of love. You can experiment with this stuff because, like, maybe at one point, if I heard this stuff, I probably would have been like, what is this man talking about? But I went out and applied this stuff to see if this is true. And it is just so true, man. If you go out right now, um, and just like really, really, really tap into the feeling of love, like a love for life. Like you just feel love. Like I love myself, I love my family, I love my friends, I love my clients, I love my whatever. I love everybody. And you really feel that, like not on some bullshit. Like you really feel that and you go out with that energy, watch how people respond to you. Watch how people all of a sudden want to say hi to you. Watch how people all of a sudden want to talk to you. Watch how dogs and animals want to come up to you. I'm telling you. Um, so if I for example, if I keep feeling love and I keep thinking thoughts of love, I'm gonna create a life of love. How do you become happy? Like if you want happiness, you think happy thoughts and you feel happy. That's how you create happiness. You don't wait for something to make you happy. That was a lie that we've been told, that we need something outside of ourselves to be happy. You want to create a certain date in life, you start thinking thoughts of, how amazing it is to have your beautiful girlfriend that you see every night, or how amazing it is to have these three girls that you have in rotation that you're dating. You start thinking like that. Before it even happens, you start thinking like that, and then you start feeling it. Oh man, it feels so good to come home and text one of my girls and tell her, hey baby, come over. I'm chilling. And she says, okay, I'm on my way. And then you tap into that feeling like, oh, I feel good, man. I feel like a king right now because I got a girl coming over. Like, you know what I mean? You don't like question it. You don't limit it. You tap into the feeling fully and you embrace it. Change your focus from following the known to being following the okay. Change your focus from following the known to following the unknown, which will lead to new experiences, which will lead to a new future. So once I started to understand this, like, okay, the subconscious mind is programmed with some old programming, and it's programmed because of the way how I was thinking, the way how I was feeling, and the way I was thinking, the way I was feeling is based on the known. So if I want to change the subconscious program, and that means I have to think differently and I have to feel differently. Well, in order to start thinking differently and thinking and feeling differently, one of the things I need to do is I need to start tapping into the unknown. Because when you go into the unknown, you have these new experiences. What happens? New experiences come with new thoughts, and new experiences come with new feelings. And if you have a clear intention of what you want, you will start attracting these experiences that are more aligned with the way of thinking and the way of feeling of that intention. So, like what I said about, the Rolls Royce. If I set the intention I want a Rolls Royce, the universe is going to give me opportunities to move closer to my Rolls Royce, right? But I had to be willing to go into the unknown, because if I'm not willing to go into the unknown, that means I'm going into the known. And the known is the things that I already know. So if I'm doing the shit that I already know, I'm going to keep getting the same experiences that I already know. That's not going to get me my Rolls Royce. I had to get outside my comfort zone. I had to step into the unknown. If you put your if you put your attention on something and do this continuously on a daily basis, it will become a part of who you are and also determine your future. So, um, let's say I want to date. I want to date like there's some specific supermodel I want to date, for example. Or let's say I look at that supermodel as an archetype, because that's how I like to look at women. I don't like to say, okay, I want this specific woman, because you don't know how you don't know how that woman actually is if you were to meet her, right? So instead, what I like to do is I like to focus on the archetype of her. Like, okay, I like her archetype. Like, I like the way she looks. Is a type of woman that looks like that, has a certain, facial features or body or whatever, right? Okay, so I'll tap into that, like, okay, I want a girl like that, right? And I put my intention on that, and I think about that girl, and I visualize how it would how she looks, having her around me, having her, you know, going on dates with her, spending time with her, how it would feel, and I keep doing this over and over and over and over and over. I'm gonna start to become the type of man who believes he has that woman. And that type of man who believes he has that woman thinks a certain way and feels a certain way. And guess what? I'm going to start attracting experiences, opportunities, people, events that are necessary to get me to that future. All of a sudden, right? If I just keep doing this every single day, one day I'm going to wake up and it's actually going to be the reality. That's the thing. I mean, that's how it works, man, with anything, if you really think about it. Like if you're working on a physique, you know, you don't just say like, oh, I want this physique, and like it just comes to you. Like, you have to think about the physique. Yeah, I want to look like Hercules, whatever, right? Yeah, I want to look like Hercules. Man, I want to feel like Hercules. Yeah, I want to look like Hercules. Yeah, I want to feel like Hercules. And you take action too. Like, I'm not saying you don't take any action, right? But when you think and feel something, you're actually going to be motivated to take action anyway, right? Like, if you're really thinking about something and really feeling it, you're going to want to take action. Like, if I'm thinking about, if I like, let's say there's a certain girl I want, right? Let's say there's a certain girl I want, right? I want to add a new girl to my rotation. I'm gonna think about that girl, and I'm gonna tap into the feeling of having that girl. And guess what? I'm gonna be motivated to take actions in alignment with thinking that way and feeling that way, right? So let's say the girl has an archetype like a party girl. Well, if I'm thinking about that party girl and I'm getting into the feeling of that party girl, guess what I'm gonna want to do? I'm gonna want to party, right? It's not even gonna be so much of a force like, oh, I have to go and party, because if I don't party, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be like that, because I'm tapping into the beingness. It becomes effortless, right? Being the beast, is like you deciding like you're just gonna beast out, like a lot of willpower, which that's cool too, but it's we have limited willpower. What's even better is for me to just tap into a beingness that doesn't even need to really rely on willpower, because it doesn't take much willpower, because it just is who you are. And that's built over time. So it's not like an overnight thing, right? In some cases, I'm not gonna front though. In some cases, you could create something overnight. Like, it just, because look, the quantum field, all potentials exist. So we just gotta be real. Yes, some things can be created overnight. Some things maybe unlikely, right? Like, to change, for example, it is possible for you, like, out of nowhere, to just like meet a girl, and like she's just like amazing, and like she's all over you, like, because that's happened to me, right? Because that's a potential, that's a possibility. However, you know, we if we're looking at something else, like for example, the example I used earlier, like building a physique, we know when it comes to building a bodily physique, I believe anything's possible. So maybe there is a way for you to just wake up one day and all of a sudden you look like Hercules. But in a case like that, it's more likely that if you do something consistently over a certain period of time, you'll get that Hercules look, right? But that's not to say that there's not no potential in the quantum field where maybe you figure out some new scientific study on how to build muscle faster, or we do have things, right, like steroids and stuff like that, which I'm not recommending. But the point is, there's unlimited possibility. One thing I have noticed too is when you really start setting an intention, a clear intention, and tapping into elevated emotions, the universe will really when you really like just very consistent with this stuff, the universe will literally start giving you like very specific um opportunities, specific experiences that it's like the universe is clearly telling you like what you're doing is working, because it will be very specific. Like somebody reaches out to you out of nowhere and gives you like some answer to some question you've been asking, and like it literally is like the perfect timing, and you're like, okay, this shit is working, right? Or maybe you just like you're reading a book, and like you just happen to read a book that you normally wouldn't read, and you pick up that book, and then you get like an idea that is like gonna help you get to your goal or whatever. Like stuff like that starts happening. They call it synchronicities. That's real shit, man. In order to break out of the subconscious programming of the past, you have to think greater than you feel. So the subconscious programming creates a certain feeling in your body. It's like there's certain thoughts and there's certain feelings attached to that program. And if that program has been running for a long time, that feeling is probably very strong. It's to the point where you think you are it. Like you start to think you're the program. So the only way to break out of that program, you would have to think greater than how you feel. Okay, I'm going to talk about how you do this, because right now I'm just setting um like the premise, or setting the understanding or the foundation for how you actually do this stuff, how you actually apply this stuff. Because when you understand what you're doing, you're more likely to do it, right? Because okay, it makes sense. Let me do it. All right. So when you live in the present moment, your familiar past and your predictable future, which is your comfort zone, become non-existent, and now you're in position to create new possibilities in your life. So, to live in the present moment means you detach from your familiar past, you detach from the predictable future, and you live in the present moment where all possibilities exist. The present moment essentially is you basically being open to all possibilities, which means you're not resisting anything. It means you're open, and what I'm going to say here is open your heart, because to me, open your heart means it means your heart centered. And that means you're in a place of love. When you're in a place of love, you're very open to things, right? Like if I love someone, what does that mean? It means I'm open to their expression. I'm open to their love. I'm open to being around them. I'm open to what they have to say, I'm open. When I hate someone, what does that mean? That means I'm closed, right? I don't want to hear what they have to say. I don't want to do anything with them. I don't want to have anything to get away from me, right? So to me, being living in the present moment is basically you just being fully open to everything. You're not resisting anything. You're open to talk to anyone. You're open for any experience, right? But you still have a clear intention. So if something's not aligned with your intention, you may remove yourself from the situation, right? But you're not resisting it, because you don't want to resist shit. Because if you're resisting shit, you may be resisting exactly what you need to create your desired reality, right? Like if I was resisting the idea of code approaching women, who knows? Maybe I'd still be struggling with women right now. Because for me, the answer for my dating issues at the time was to go out and code approach women. right? But I had to be open to that, right? I couldn't be hold on to my old identity. My old identity doesn't have anything to do with a code. But the Trey in high school did not code approach. It's the last thing I would do. The Trey in high school would like try to front and act cool and act like he's already getting girls and stuff, which in reality is he wasn't. Right? One of the best ways to get into the present moment is through meditation. Here we go. Okay, we're talking about what do you actually do? How do you get in the present moment? So I used to not be a fan of meditation, but now I love meditation. And why do I love meditation? Because it's one of the best ways to get into the present moment. It's one of the best ways for you to become conscious of your subconscious. What that means is you get out of the program and you observe the program. There's a program running in your mind, and if you're not aware of it, you'll get caught up in it. And you'll wonder why things aren't going your way because you're stuck in a program that's based on the past that keeps creating the past over and over again. So, meditation, there's different ways to meditate, but I'm going to give you some examples. So, one meditation you could do, if you've never meditated before, I recommend, after this presentation, just do this. Put your timer for 5 minutes, close your eyes, and just watch your thoughts. You are now meditating. And that's it. Just watch your thoughts. By you doing that, you're tapping into the present moment because you're watching your thoughts. You're present. There's a difference between watching your thoughts and being your thoughts, like being in your thoughts. Most people are in their thoughts. Most people are like in the program. They're like robots. But when you can sit down and watch your thoughts, you are taking back control. You're looking at thoughts, you're like, hey, what kind of thought is that? I'm not good enough. What do you mean I'm not good enough? I can't approach her because it's not the right moment. What the hell what you mean not the right moment? It's always the right moment. You start noticing these little thoughts and you start to observe them. You're like, yo, that's not me. How do you know that's not you? Because if you can observe it, then that can't be you. If something is running and it's running on its own, because the thing is these thoughts, like even if you try to shut them off, it's very hard to shut them off. Right? Like you got to get really good at this meditation stuff to shut them off, and even then, like they still pop back up. Um, so meditation is great, man. Like start with 5 minutes. That's how I started. I started building it up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Now I can go an hour. Um, and I just try. I aim to get very present to the moment because when you start doing this stuff, you start to see life starts to get really amazing, man. You start to be able to create your reality very quickly. Things start changing for you a lot faster because now you're just so much more conscious. Now you have much more powerful intent. Now you're able to tap into elevated emotion. Now you have a formula for creation, right? You have a formula for tapping into new possibilities. You don't have to like hope and wait and pray and wish and all that stuff. You can actually tap in and make this shit happen, right? So meditation is amazing. Practice being in the present moment throughout your day. So basically being mindful, being aware, walking around, um, observing your thoughts, being really present. Sometimes you may want to people watch, go out and people watch. And watch, you'll see most people there, you can just watch them. It's like you can see they're in a program. And then you'll also see certain people are present. You'll notice the difference, right? You can tell when somebody's present when they're in the program. When somebody's present, like they're there with you, right? They're not stuck in their thoughts. They're not stuck in the past or stuck in the future. Like they're there right here, like right now. So you can practice doing that, like just being present, man. Observe your thoughts and emotions. Ask yourself, am I thinking and feeling like the person who has massive success with women? Have you ever thought about that? Like, okay, let's say you want, a rotation of 10 women. Let's go for it, man. Let's just go for it. We want a rotation of 10 women. Let's just say that's your goal, man. How does the man who has a rotation of 10 women think and feel? Maybe a rotation of 10 women is not your cup of tea. So whatever your cup of tea is. But like ask yourself, how does that guy think and feel? He probably doesn't think and feel how you're thinking and feeling right now. Otherwise, you would have that result, you know? Like, and that's another thing. We got to get real with ourselves. Like, okay, if I'm not getting a certain result, I'm probably not being the person who has that result, right? It may mean you need to elevate the way you're thinking. It may mean you need to elevate your emotions, you know? Maybe you're not really living in the present moment. You're not tapping into unlimited potential. You're not going into the unknown, right? If the last 30 days you didn't do anything that scared you, if you didn't do anything that made you uncomfortable, if you didn't get outside your comfort zone, you're not living in the present moment. You're not tapping into unlimited potential. You're not tapping into the quantum field, like straight up. If you want to know if you're living in the present moment, if you want to know if you're tapping in the quantum field, you should be experiencing different emotions. Like you should be experiencing excitement, joy, peace, love, bliss, um, euphoria. Bro, if you're living in the present moment, you're gonna experience these emotions because you're tapping into the unknown. Any emotion can come out of that unknown experience. But if you're doing the known all the time, the same shit all the time, same emotions all the time, I guarantee you. Okay? So that is how you do it, my friends. Now, if you are fascinated by what I'm saying here and you're really serious about this, well, first of all, um, just understand like the goal here is for you to set a clear intention with an elevated emotion, which is going to allow you to tap into a new state of being, and then you want to sustain it throughout your day. This is how you create your desired dating reality. Set a clear intention, whatever that is. I want a girlfriend. I want 3 dates. I want whatever it is. Tap into the emotion of that. Now that's your state of being, and sustain that throughout your day. If you sustain that throughout your day, you will start drawing in the experiences, the opportunities, the resources, the people, the events, everything you need to start manifesting and creating that new reality. Just give it time. They say in the metaphysical world, which is the world beyond the senses, that quantum field, all possibilities exist right now. In the physical world, it takes time. The physical world has to catch up to the metaphysical world. So give it time. But it can happen very quickly. The more intense your intention and your elevated emotion, the faster it will come to you, right? So I would like to give you my support because this is something that I've been doing for the last 6 months or so, or may even be longer. I've been applying the things that I've explained to you today, and I've been doing the meditations. I've been practicing the living in the present moment, and life has become so amazing. The emotions that I experience on a daily basis consist of love, peace, joy, gratitude, right? I have the dating life that I used to dream of. I have women in my life that I used to dream of. I have the experiences in my life that I used to dream of. I'm one happy camper, right? But it's because I understand this stuff. Before, the way I was doing it before was I was just like being a beast. Now that works. And when I say be a beast, I mean like you just start like bum rushing your way to success. Like you just break, like let's say there's doors and obstacles in your way, you just smash through them. You say, ah, fuck this, fuck that, and you punch this and kick that. And that's one way to do it, but that's a lot of effort. That's a lot of energy. This is more this is more like being like a Jedi or like a wise man or like a Yoda. Like, okay, let me tap into the quantum field. You know what I mean? Let me tap into unlimited potential. Let me reprogram my subconscious mind. Like, let me do that. Like, I could just go out and beast it out, but yeah, or you could combine the two. That's another thing, because I would. That's basically what I was doing too. I learned how to combine the two very nicely, but I think if you just focus on this stuff, you'll be good. Okay, because I know a lot of you guys, you don't like. Cause sometimes I talk to y'all and I'm like, yo, just go out and do 100 approaches. Like nobody's really trying to. I mean, some of you are with it, but some of y'all are like, "Ah, I don't know if I want to do that many approaches." So then do this shit, bruh. Set a clear intention, an elevated emotion, tap into a new state of being, sustain it throughout your day. Okay, now if you like my support, if you like to work together on this, and like you're serious, right, and you want some type of one-on-one coaching, you want to know the exact meditations that I'm doing, how I'm applying this on a daily basis, what does my daily schedule look like, what does my morning routine look like, what is some of the results that I'm getting, how do you just like apply this shit and get the results you want. I can break down these concepts in more detail. Like if you understood this, but you want to understand it even more, I can go deeper with you and help you apply it to your situations. You could change your reality. I could put you on my daily meditation rituals so you could become more present to the moment and open up to new opportunities. I can show you how to live in the present moment, how you can too create out of nowhere and in no time, show you how to tap into the unlimited potentials that exist in the quantum field, and much more. All right. So if you're interested in working with me one on one to create your desired dating reality in 90 days or less, feel free to reach out to me, private message me, do whatever you got to do to get in contact with me. I will help you achieve your desired results in your dating life or your money back. So obviously, if this is one on one coaching and this is 90 days, which is 12 weeks, so it is going to cost, there is going to be an investment, but I'm guaranteeing your results. If you don't get the results that you want in your dating life, I'll give you your money back. I don't want your money if you're not happy with the experience. All right. I want to thank you for watching this presentation, and I will see you in the next ones. All right. Peace.